So, Dregs, you're our man in Winnipeg. You were recently there. Man, oh man, were they bad last night? Have they been bad lately?
Yeah, they have been, but not to that degree. I mean,
was...
You know, and I don't know if you guys had the opportunity to watch Paul Maurice in the post-game scrum. I mean, he's normally very thoughtful, articulate. You know, he's hot under the collar when they lose, as every coach is. Mm-hmm. He was almost despondent last night. And Brian Munns, who's a colleague of ours from TSN Radio in Winnipeg, framed a question along the lines of, you know, players in your room felt like they kind of quit in that third period. And Paul, he wasn't mad at Brian. He just said, well, did they use that word? And Brian said, yeah, they did. And he goes, okay, we'll fix that tomorrow. And he basically left the scrum. But when I was in Winnipeg last week, the message, and very public message, was things are really difficult for the Winnipeg Jets right now, and they can't put a finger on why. I mean, you look at, inexplicably, how Patrick Laine can't hit the net, let alone score a goal. You know, so that's part of it, but there are multiple layers to it, so they're trying to sort through all of that. In the meantime, there's a fair bit of pressure on Kevin Cheveldayoff and the Jets in general to improve that roster, and a lot of it is outside media, but the local media is very much in tune. You know, we've talked about the possibility of them landing Mark Stone, clearly. You know, he's priority one if he's available. And then you go down the list from there. Kevin Hayes would be a nice add. Yeah. They have some interest.
Maybe?
In Matt Zuccarello, you know, who lots of teams are interested in those pieces. But because of, you know, what's going on or not going on in Ottawa, Chevy's kind of stuck in the mud right now. But as he reminded me when I was there, as much as the market wants him to do something very aggressive, you know, we have to remind everyone they're still a young team, especially up front. Their wingers are young. So he's not going to blast out Jack Roslovic, his first-round pick, and Vesalainen and something else unless he's getting a can't-lose player like Mark Stone in return. And if those guys aren't available, look, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't do much of anything. Maybe a lower bottom six.
And I was really thinking the Jets today because they took the 7-1 pasting last night. Montreal also questioned them last week. I wrote the piece today in The Athletic that, and I'm not trying to speak from both sides of my mouth because I'm as guilty as anyone. We hype up Trade Center and the trade deadline because it's fun and people are interested in it. But the team that won the Cup last year added a defenseman that basically didn't have a job, and Michael Kempney ended up being John Carlson's defense partner. But I'm saying you don't win the Cup on deadline day. I really believe that. Now, you can certainly augment your chances, but if the Winnipeg Jets strike out on the big boys, they got a really good hockey team. And maybe that means that Jack Roslovic makes it his playoffs, or Brendan Lemieux, or Niku, whatever. I'm not trying to speak from both sides of my mouth because the Jets will never be able to add again because of the salary cap after this year. But
I agree with you, but at the same time, I don't know that we had the quantity or quality of players available.
No.
Like Stone and Duchesne and potentially Panarin if Columbus moves them, although I'm kind of doubtful on that. It's at best 50-50 in my mind.
But what's clouding it, though, is how we started this conversation on Winnipeg is they're playing so poorly.
Yeah.
You know, now ownership's got to be asking management, you know, are you sure you want to give up a Sami Niku or Jack Roslovic or Vesalainen or any other of these top coveted young players? Like, are you sure? Because if you're not sure based on how we're playing, then let's not blow out young assets.
Or is it the other way?
I was going to say, I was thinking it'd be the other way. Yeah.
We should give Mark Chipman a call right now and say, are you turning the heat up on your general manager, or are you turning it down?
Yeah. Well, one thing I don't think has gotten enough attention. Now, as a team, they were terrible last night, so I'm not pitting this on Connor Hellebuck. But I think it hasn't been as big a story, I think, as it should be. Connor Hellebuck's not as good this year as he was a year ago. I mean, he just hasn't been.
Yeah.
Like, he's had great moments, and I still think he's an elite top 5 netminer in the world, and he probably will be when it matters. But I'm just saying his season has not been as consistent as it was a year ago.
See, and here's the other thing I think a lot of people miss, that most teams go through a phase like the Jets are going through right now. The vast majority of them have a thing. It's just, it's all timing. I mean, the fact that you're having this deep valley and trough that you're in right before the trade deadline kind of messes with everybody's head.
Yeah.
To our point. But in the grand scheme of things, having adversity, you know, and again, I'm thinking of Tampa. They've had zero adversity.
I was going to say one team is cooking.
One team is just cooking with gas like you would not believe.
Yeah.